You're listening to ASOTU CON Sessions, brought to you by the More Than Cars Creative Shop. Let us help your business strategize, produce, and deploy modern creative content fast. Now, on to the episode.
All right, we are having another great conversation. Again, my name is Glenn Pasch. I'm the CEO of PCG Digital. And my guest today for round two is, introduce yourself.
Anthony Monteiro from AutoAcquire AI.
All right, so they have these conversations today. We want to focus on, again, Year of the Human. We want to talk about how, how we build teams, leadership. But what I'm curious about you and yours, because you've built tons of teams in your past, but now as you lean into AI, right? You could talk about your new company. How is that balance? I mean, everybody's standing on stage and talking about efficiency of AI and it's going to make everybody more productive. But in your mind, how do we not lose the human interaction with it, or how do you see it working? So, I'm sure everybody's thinking, what's that right balance of human to AI to technology? What are your thoughts?
Sure. Well, it is a challenge, right? Because our legacy mindset is we have to have a whole bunch of humans doing all of these things, right? At eLead, we've had the call center with thousands of agents making phone calls and sending emails, and now we can do that with an automated process, but there still has to be a human touch and element to it, right? So if you look at leadership, we always say, hey, lead by example, right? That it's just a cliche, right? But it's not. If you don't lead by example, if you don't get your hands dirty and understand it, then you can't bring people on your team and lead them like you're supposed to. I would probably say I'm one of the top 3 AI coders, which is just prompting in my company now, because I had to go learn that. I'll be 63 this year, and typically we're not the guys leaning into code, right?
Right. But that's a great example, because and it's interesting you touched on that, because I think a lot of businesses make a mistake, because not that they want to put the older people out to pasture, but they think, oh, well, I'll get somebody younger, they may know this. But I think it's what you're thinking, or what you're approaching at, is it's that combination of, I have business acumen, I have experience. So the way I'm looking at AI is completely different than someone who's young who can just code. They don't have that experience wrapped around them. So what for you then, what was the hardest challenge of getting into it? Was it just, you're that type of a guy that I'm going to figure it out? Or was it humbling? What was it like when you're diving in?
I guess that's a really good question. Some things happen because they're ordained to happen, and you're put in a path because there's a higher power that says, hey, this is what you should be doing. This is what you need to focus on. And you kind of follow that blindly and then lean into it. And with AI, it kind of happened a long time ago when I was at Draver, and we were trying to connect drivers going from point A to point B to rendezvous at a specific minute of time, so you didn't have a driver standing there without another driver to pick them up on the dead end. And that was way before Claude or ChatGPT or Grok. And we had like really expensive people that did that. But it's those people in their minds that had to take that process and tell the machine how to learn how to do it. And I'll tell you one quick story. We were at the AI conference in San Francisco 3 years ago, and it was right at the precipice of all this. And we're sitting there, and I'm watching these people talk about this. And at the time, I was as novice could be. I was like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. And these 2 gentlemen, probably our age, were sitting there, and they go, you know what? This is what they said. It's very profound. He said, AI is not going to be the guys coding it. It's going to be the philosophers. It's going to be the intent of what it needs to do, not anything else. So that human element has to stay alive, or else it could be weird.
Yeah, and I think that's a really good thing for anyone even here at this conference. Again, you're listening to people talk about AI, your product, others. And I think it's really important for leaders, as you said, to set that example, to understand what this product is. I just read an article Harvard Business Review, saying there's such a disconnect now within companies around AI because the leaders have one vision, but then the people down lower, that's not the right tool, right? So I think, to your point, it's really understanding what problem is this going to solve. Then I can have more informed conversations with whoever the coder is, the product is, but my vision as a leader, I have to be able to communicate that, and that's something you only get with time.
Well, listen, it's amazing to me because I would have to spend hours, if not days, taking my napkin and making it a vision with a Figma developer, and that developer would go and try to connect it to a back end, and then a week later they'd come back and show it to me, and I'd go, that's really not it, but good try, and they'd come with all these variations, and it would be weeks, if not months, before you said, that's it. Now I go sit there and I have these visions of what it needs to do and how it needs to work because my domain knowledge, and I tell this computer and it goes, how about that? And I go, wow, that's almost it. And then I do these little tiny revisions tweaks. And then I hand it over to the person who's really going to build it, and I explain, and they read my prompts. They read what I told it to do and why I'm doing it, because if you're prompting right, you're saying you're going to do this because, right? Like you would train a human, and they read that and they say, oh, I get it.
Right.
I get it. And they go build it, and it's so much better, and they're really involved and engaged with that whole understanding without that time lag that we used to have to deal with.
Yeah, and I think that, again, for those in the audience, I think, who are running teams and leading teams and thinking about this, is don't be afraid to ask people on the front lines, how could your job be easier? What are the things, right? I had a team one time, I was overseeing some remote locations. And this person said it so politely, but he said, yeah, what sounds good to you in your ivory tower doesn't work here. And I was like, whoa.
Yes.
That made sense.
Yeah.
So I would challenge all of you to talk to your frontline people, ask those questions. What are the things that you are tired of doing that the mundane, repetitive tasks, right?
100%.
Get those done. Then you can talk to the machine. Then you're handing it off in a better way, because we don't have to play that tennis of, well, what about this? No, that's not right. What about this? Go right to the people. And again, I believe AI is not going to solve every problem on your team. I think you still need people. But if I can make you more efficient, someone this morning when I walked in was talking about revenue per employee. If that could go up, and it's just also, I think it makes the job, the mental approach to a job, I'm happier, because this is mind-numbing that I have to do. My brother we launched at our conference a couple weeks ago, he built a tool called KPI to help make it easier for people looking at Google Analytics. Like all the things you have to go find, he built a tool now that'll generate a report and tell you, here's all the things to look at.
Perfect, right?
Absolutely. So that was mundane, and that came from him going, it takes me an hour to do it, an hour and a half, if I could just have something. So I think that's really good. Let me ask you this, because we're touching around leadership and coaching. And Chad, in the previous conversation, talked about clarity. How important is it for you as a leader to make sure you're very clear for your team to be able to execute? Clarity in not concept, because concept can be interpreted, but those activities or actions. How important is that?
So it's super important, and we work on a philosophy of integrity and faith. So there's a blueprint already there that we all believe in, that every day if we work on these principles, we don't have to spend a lot of time sharing like what our vision is, because it's very aligned with many, many things, and we work in that direction. So to lead somebody on your team that's already in the same direction that you walk every single day, it makes it so much easier, right? There's the conflicts disappear, or they never happen, because you you kind of build a team around a mindset of what the goal is and how we are going to behave as a company and what you need to do as a person. Now, there's a flip side of that when we talk to AI. Listen, if you don't come along at some point, it's still a business, right? And the efficiencies that are declining when you legacy mindset yourself into,
Right.
I'm not going to do this because,
Yes.
that will become a problem no matter how much I love you.
No, and I think that's really important. My microphone keeps moving here. Very important about that legacy mindset. It's a very interesting, and it's hard to let go because it's worked for you. You're successful at a certain level.
It made your career. That's
Made your career.
It's your blood.
And it's hard, but you're right. You have to explain the win, what's on the other side of it. You have to explain how to get there. It may take a little longer for some of us who are a little stubborn, right? Who are saying, yeah, well, but it's mine. And I think, but there is a point where you have to have that conversation. But what I liked about what you said was, if everyone's aligned, and part of our culture is curiosity, failure, meaning we only learn when we fail. So it's okay to fail. I always say fail forward, not backwards. That
Right.
means you're timid. Fail forward.
Yep.
And as long as failure is seen as a learning opportunity, that's what we need to do. But yes, there has to be a time where eventually it's like, this is what has to happen. And
in the world of developers, it's security, right? Because if I've been doing this and I code this and it takes me a lot of time to do this code, but I do it this way, to say someone's going to come or a machine is going to come replace that coding, it's very scary for them, and I get it. Like I would think I'm getting replaced too.
Right.
But what they need to do is adapt to, how do I leverage this technology to make my job easier so I can do what I do best and not have to sit there in front of a computer with my head down for 6 hours.
And do the same prompts. Yeah. And that's where I think if you can explain it to say, to your example previously, this used to take a month. Now it got it down to a week. Now we get it down to 2 days. Well, what the upside is, as a leader, explain, well, look at how much more now we can utilize this time. But you also have to tell them how to fill that time.
100%.
Or else they're just going to sit there.
100%, because they get locked into this fear. And fear is the worst thing that you can have if you're trying to move forward. But it's a paradigm shift, right? It happened in the internet that we were all around, and I and you guys were a part of that paradigm shift of tactile buying cars and newspapers to building AutoWeb, which was one of the first online car buying places. And that paradigm shift has to change because how many phone booth builders are still out there, right? You have to adapt to what's happening, or else as a leader you have to explain that and make it comfortable for them, or else you're not going to be able to lead.
Yeah, and I think that's as we wrap up, I think that's something really important for the audience to take away, is people are scared.
They're scared.
Because they're unknown, right?
I'm scared.
Listen, we all are, because that journey from unknown to known, that's where we learn. It's not a straight line, it's squiggly, and there's a lot of fear in that. Am I going to be replaced? Can I learn this? What's it going to look like? None of us really have that answer, but it's that idea of, if we all are working together towards this, and you and a leader, a lot of times, especially in these turbulent times or unsure, you have to overcorrect in that surety of, we're going to figure it out together, we're going to work hard at that.
It's faith. I have faith that what we're doing is the right thing to do. We're doing it with integrity. We're putting our hearts into it, and we're building something that makes a difference for not only my family, but for whatever audience that we have, which is, in our case, our dealer clients.
That's great. And so I think Anthony shared a lot of great things, so can you give him a nice round of applause? Thank you very much, Anthony. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks for listening to ASOTU CON Sessions, brought to you by the More Than Cars Creative Shop. If you want to learn more about how we can help your business strategize, produce, and deploy modern creative content fast, visit morethancarscreative.com.